Welcome all. Welcome. We're going to begin our more formal programming a few minutes late, 23 minutes late, but we're very grateful to be on time for the Solarpunkification that we have together. I'd like to express gratitude to Professor Siegels and the Live Room Gallery for hosting our art both here and next door. I'd like to express acknowledgement and gratitude to artists who are here in the room. Want to acknowledge multiple folks who have helped to make this possible. I see Brother Peace here over there. Welcome. I see Tom Watson, who has helped to make this a feasible artistic collaboration, and he will be a major part of this art going to Germany after this through the garage that he's in manifestation there. And there's so much more. I also want to acknowledge that we have other artists in the room that are here and other speakers, and we will be sharing so much. I also want to acknowledge and briefly introduce our co-MC, Jesse Elliott, whom I've known for nearly 20 years with the greatest gratitude for the creative instantiation of myself and brighter futures that he has always been in collaborative stewardship of with the world. Let me let Jesse say hi, and then we'll share a little bit more before we then proceed to our first speaker of the evening.
I'm going to run away from the microphone here to hopefully try to help set a little bit of a tone that this is not a stage versus audience type of thing, as we might be used to in some scenarios. This is more like a conversational, let's all hang out, let's be co-MCs together. I think that's in the spirit of everything that Bobby and all these fine folks have created. But first of all, how about a round of applause for the Oracle of Ocean Beach? I agreed to be his co-MC, both of us agreeing that that was a completely meaningless title, mostly just as a fun excuse to get up here and riff with you all. So let's make it like a actually seriously co-MCing kind of thing, and I'll take on that responsibility and that fun and that joy of being together in a space that is like truly a circle, even if it's, you know, it's rectangular, it's a little shotgunny, but it feels like a circle. And I'm so happy to be here. Bobby, thanks for having all of us, and let's have a great weekend. I'm Jesse again.
So grateful for this moment of synchronicity, and we are indeed under the most excellent auspices for collaboration and for line of sight to bright, realistic, imminent futures that we find in Solarpunkification's spirit. And so I just wanted to take a few moments to share a little bit more of the context in which solarpunk exists so that we can fractalize it for ourselves. Because having a preferred future become our most probable future is on all of us. It is not something that we can get to such a preferred future in isolation, solipsistically. We get there in community together. There's a context, I would say, there's a wonderful theory, rich context theory, which talks about how you can learn different things from different contexts and stack your aspirations, including imagining a future that was 1,000 times more intuitive, or 1,000 times more creative, or 1,000 times more compassionate, and that these are not zero-sum, where you can achieve only one of those goals without the others. These are multiplicative objectives. These are objectives that if you are doing them all, you can end up working backwards from a future that is a trillion times brighter than the average future. And if the solarpunkification happens rightly, you can make that the most probable future at any fractal scale. So this solarpunk movement has been around now for years in global community. It's started with many roots in Brazil and internationally, but we are in the Bay Area in unique role relating to the future. And so while solarpunk has existed in now close to 1 million works of visual art around the world from many thousands of artists, and there's many hundreds of solarpunk novels and books of short stories, and there's a whole set of, I've watched hundreds of solarpunk documentaries on different YouTube playlists, because they're each examples of positive deviance the things in the world that if we become aware of, they change our relation to what we ought to design to, what we ought to design for, and how we can be in radically multidisciplinary integration and symbiosis. And that's part of the purpose here, is that we are not just having art here. We are not just having systems change here. We are having both artists and systems changers. And we invited every artist who wanted to identify as a systems change speaker to speak, and we invited the speakers who wanted to identify as artists to share their art. And so we've created a forum of collective integration of the idea that we need the solarpunk values. When people allude to this, this is really saying that we need to be able to express without rationalizing down our objectives based on what we think at that moment to be practical. We need to have awareness of what we most wish to be possible without defying maybe laws of physics or otherwise. But basically we want to have an aspiration that is as aspirational as we would truly wish for authentically, have a whole relationship to that future, and then try to do all the technical, scientific, collaborative things to work backwards from that future. Too often, we downgrade our intention, our aspiration, or our goal based on a lack of requisite capabilities at that moment, a lack of interdisciplinary integration at that moment. There's now billions of people. We're not going to ever have all the fields under any one of us as auspices. So we now have this chance to be in interrelation to each other's fractal of how we collectively get to the bright futures. And if we can make the habit of making our most preferred future the most probable future at every scale of community, we can solarpunkify. And there are few limits to that. As you can see here, and over the next 3 days, we've got more than 40 artists and speakers who are here and next door, who are going to be communicating what future they care most passionately about materializing in the world and coming into being in the world. And not just having that be a future that is imaginable abstractly, but a future that through, we have interdisciplinary parallax, we have interdisciplinary integration. We can see with two eyes, we can see with two perspectives, with multiple perspectives, and with that we can gain line of sight to bright futures. So thank you for making the line of sight to bright futures radically more feasible for each other by stepping into this vortex of interdisciplinary collaboration, the autopoiesis of collective imagination, the systems change instantiation, and I could continue riffing, but we have such wonderful speakers that I would rather hand back to Jesse to introduce our first guest, who will be momentarily in manifestation. Peter is a wonderful fractal of this, but I'm going to hand over to our co-MC to more officially manifest that